Rainmaker, will it help us out with these dry conditions? A first alert weather day tomorrow. How about the threat of storms? That's all coming up in Weather Extra.
And from plowing roads to saving the lives of two pets. How one man said he knew what he had to do when he noticed something a little unusual. And as the Northeast digs out from the nor'easter earlier this week, we're catching up with former WBRC 6 News First Alert meteorologist Jill Gilardi. She'll tell you what it was like forecasting and living through one of the worst snowstorms in recent history.
Live on your side, First Alert Weather Extra starts right now.
All right, Tania, it's going to be great hearing from, as we would say around here, Chilly Jilly, but great to hear from her again here coming up.
I'm excited. Yeah,
that was a big blizzard across the New England states, and you and I were talking about some of this long-range forecast data, and we've got some warm weather on the way here. That was probably the last freeze we saw earlier this week that we're going to see for a while. Right now, I want to take you live to Jacksonville State University, one of our First Alert Sky Vision cameras, and it's 63. I was noticing out here earlier, it looked a bit hazy. Notice the winds out of the southwest at 5 miles per hour. We've had some of these prescribed burns, some controlled fires going on around the area, wildfires, and even some fires that got out of hand, as we know, over the past few days. But we look at the conditions in Tuscaloosa right now. Visibility is pretty good, but west to east across the state, there are a few spots where the haze is a factor from some of those nearby burns. But it's a mild night, temperatures in the 60s. And speaking of Tuscaloosa, if you're headed out to the basketball game at Coleman tonight, Alabama, Mississippi State, not seeing a lot of rain at the moment, but it's still going to stay kind of breezy for us. You can see as far as West Alabama goes, we're in good conditions as far as air quality, but still just a little bit hazy here across central areas, but that is starting to improve. We had that one burn that was in Bibb County. That's what caused a lot of the smoky issues there across Jefferson County, but the one spot, one of the latest prescribed burns you can see over here in East Alabama, and that's transporting with the wind out of the south a lot of that haze back in. If you notice, it just kind of has that smell outside. Something's been burning Calhoun County, Cherokee County, places like Center. You may notice there as far as the greatest impacts for the remainder of the evening, right in that area, East Alabama, for the possibility of some smoke and haze. All right, let's get into tomorrow and what is on the way. As we go to First Alert AccuTrack radar at the moment, no rain at the moment, but that's going to change later on tonight. We'll start to see a few spotty showers popping up, a better chance for rain Thursday, and this is why it's a First Alert weather day. The overall severe threat is on the low end of the scale, but that doesn't mean this will not be an impactful day. I still think it's our biggest rain chance that we have all week long, and hopefully we get some rain out of it, maybe a couple strong thunderstorms, but the arrival times for the higher rain chances, 10 a.m. to around midday, areas to the north, central areas roughly along the I-20 corridor. We could start to see some of these heavier pockets of rain popping up from 11 a.m. to 1 o'clock, and that's going to continue through the afternoon and evening, and then arriving areas to the south primarily after 2 o'clock. You go further south of I-20. We go to the lightning forecast data, and you can see the possibility is there for some lightning. A few isolated storms can't be ruled out, so make sure you're watching that First Alert weather app. I really think as we go past 3 o'clock tomorrow down in the southern areas where we have a chance to really heat up tomorrow, it will be more unstable, and that's where we could see some heavier pockets of rain and a few strong thunderstorms in those areas to the south. So storms certainly a possibility, even though the overall severe risk is on the low end of the scale. Could have some gusty winds, maybe some small hail producers. But here comes that next system. Again, a lot of clouds right now. We'll walk you through the forecast data coming up, and we'll talk a lot more about how the temperatures fall tonight and more on the warmer temperatures ahead. That is all coming up in just 30 seconds.
Welcome back in. You're watching First Alert Weather Extra. Was that break short enough for you? Hopefully it was. I'm First Alert meteorologist Tania Michelle, and I have a look at tomorrow's hour-by-hour forecast. It's not going to be a super chilly day. It's going to be quite mild, a little muggy with the rain and even a few thunderstorms, as Wes was just mentioning. We'll see our higher rain chances as we approach your evening hours, but temperatures, and really for the evening, that's for areas south of I-20. But the heavier rain starting for our northern counties earlier in the day. I think I should clarify that. But tomorrow we'll see highs just under 70 degrees. Most areas in the 60s. It's a great time to go ahead and scan this QR code to download the WBRC First Alert Weather app. You'll get notifications when not just heavy rain is near you, but also when lightning is near you, because you know the drill. When thunder roars, you do what? Go indoors. Now, we do have a beautiful weekend ahead of us. Take a look at your weekend forecast. Temperatures in the 70s with the warmest day of the weekend looking like Sunday. Both days should bring us plenty of sunshine. It's certainly going to be a sweet spring treat as we near the start of meteorological spring coming up for the start of March. But this is a different story. A snowplow driver in New York State did more than just help clear the roads after Monday's blizzard. He also rescued 2 dogs that he spotted running loose in the snow. John Diaz has the story.
Town of Babylon foreman Kenny McGowan is no stranger to dangerous and snowy conditions while plowing the roads. But what he saw during Monday's blizzard stopped him cold.
At this turn, I looked over and I seen something in the corner of my eye right there. And then I looked in my mirror and I saw a dog. I'm like, that's a dog running.
But it wasn't only one dog, it was 2, running side by side in the middle of Sunrise Highway.
Being an animal lover, being a father, I went right into protection mode. I was going to do whatever I had to do to stop these dogs from getting hurt.
Kenny says once in a safe position, he boldly parked sideways across the highway near Town Hall, using his truck as a shield.
And they ended up going into the median right in the middle where it was like 3 feet of snow. And they like buried themselves. One dog laid on here and the other dog went on top of him. So it was like, I knew right away that they were like, you know, that they were close. They were family members. They were sisters.
With help from other Good Samaritans, Kenny was able to wrangle up the 2 lab mixes and put them in the back seat of his snowplow to transport them directly to the town's animal shelter. We're told both didn't have collars.
If nobody would have found them, they could have frozen.
The 2 dogs were at the animal shelter for less than 24 hours. Caretakers realized very early on that they were bonded and tell me at no point were they separated. And that bond may have saved them.
One of them we were able to scan for a microchip, and then we found out that the other one did have a microchip, it just wasn't in the traditional spot.
2 sisters who refused to leave each other's side in a blizzard, now safe with their family, and 1 plow driver who saw danger in the road and chose to stop.
Everybody should think that way. It's somebody else's pet.
How sweet. The Northeast isn't the only place digging out from massive snowfall. In the western U.S., people around Lake Tahoe are cleaning up as well after the first big snowfall of the season. And now there are concerns about flooding. Michelle Bander has the story.
It's been days of clearing snow and ice in South Lake Tahoe. Now, instead of removing it from the roads,
we're really more concerned about the melting of the snow and all of that water that's going to come from the rain combining to create flooding conditions in various parts of the city.
City crews focusing on storm drains on busy boulevards.
When the water does start flowing, it can flow into the drains and hopefully go out the way it's intended to, rather than being blocked up and not being able to go out.
Steve Tibble's using the break in the weather to get the feet of snow off his roof, preventing ice jams.
You know, there's heaters in the gutter, but the snow migrates down.
Tibbles lives in a neighborhood that sees flooding after the snow from big storms starts melting. And now rain in the forecast bringing even more challenges.
And there's no drainage. I mean, they built this house right across the fall line, and it all just runs right up to Michael and puddles up.
The city's encouraging residents to be ready. That's why they've set up 2 free sandbag stations so folks can protect their homes and businesses.
We're anticipating they will see flooding, and it's just a question of how much, not if.
The states of South Dakota and Wyoming are no strangers to brutal winter weather. But what happened on this date nearly 30 years ago was on another level. Here's your look back at this date in weather history.
Starting February 25th, 1998, a significant winter storm started to produce heavy snow and high winds that would last for 5 days across parts of the northern Black Hills of South Dakota. The terrain of the Black Hills helped to enhance snowfall totals, with most areas of the northern Black Hills seeing over 20 inches of snow. The most extreme snowfall was seen in the town of Lead, South Dakota, where a record-setting 114 inches of snow fell during the event, with over 30 inches in just one day. High winds combined with these heavy snowfall totals produced blizzard conditions across much of western South Dakota and northeastern Wyoming. Dangerously cold wind chills range between 20 to 50 degrees below zero throughout much of the 5-day event.
Explore the wonders of weather with Weather in the Classroom. Scan the QR code now to help your kids soar to new heights with Soar with 6.
Astronomers have captured a striking new look at the center of our Milky Way galaxy. This image shows a complex network of cosmic gas in unprecedented detail. The data set is the largest of its kind, obtained by stitching together many observations like puzzle pieces, and it's the first time cold gas across the entire region has been brought into such sharp focus, revealing the raw material from which stars form. Scientists say the data will help them track the lives of stars in the most extreme region of our galaxy. Wes?
Just absolutely incredible, Tania. Really looking forward to sky watching, coming up in March. Don't forget, we got the lunar eclipse on March the 3rd that we'll be talking a lot about. AccuTrack radar at the moment, all quiet at this point, but that will be changing later on tonight. One thing we have picked up on, some of those fires out there. We've been seeing some of the light returns from the smoke plumes. Radar can pick that up. If you've noticed so far today, that's not necessarily rain. That's from some of those fires, but we will start to see some showers later on. A lot of clouds in place though, and that's going to stay that way overnight, mostly cloudy and breezy. On top of that, the wind out of the south at 10 to 20 miles per hour, so you may hear that wind whipping outside the windows tonight. 11 o'clock, model data is not showing a lot, but I still can't rule out starting to see a few of those isolated pop-ups to the north pretty much for the rest of the evening. 8 o'clock in the morning, yes, when you hit the road early in the day, there could be some scattered showers, and then by late morning, middays, when we could see some of these heavier pockets of rain with some gusty winds and maybe a couple storms in there. I also think tomorrow's high temperatures will rise into the upper 60s, and we'll have a chance to really heat up in areas to the south. That's where the instability will be a little bit higher. But notice by 6 o'clock in the evening, again, more rain, but not every location seeing rain at that point. That's the thing. A lot of this is still kind of scattered in coverage later in the day, so I can't promise every location is going to get a lot of rainfall out of this. Maybe a quarter inch to a half inch of rain, maybe closer to an inch in some of the storms that do manage to pop up out there. It's a low-end severe risk, but by far the greatest chance for rain that we see for the entire week. Notice by Friday we dry out, and then we'll have some clearing during the day with high temperatures on Friday topping out back close to 70 degrees actually during the afternoon. Here's the instability forecast, and you can see there is a little bit of instability out there, especially as this moves further south. So we could see a stronger storm with some gusty winds, some lightning. Watch out for that. Locally heavy rainfall, and also again, these impacts mostly afternoon and into the evening, but there certainly could be some drive time impacts tomorrow. So make sure you give yourself some extra drive time. But after that, we look at the rain coverage the next 6 days. And once we clear out on Friday, look at the weekend dry. Next week, we're just not seeing a lot of wet weather. So it will not take long for those very dry, crispy conditions to build back in here. High temperatures will be in the 70s, maybe an isolated shower to the north around Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. And just looking beyond the 7-day, you see that extended forecast down the road there. We're still talking some 70s. So Tania, I know we had freezing earlier this week, but it looks like that's the last freeze we're going to be seeing for quite some time.
Oh yeah, Wes, and hopefully it stays that way. We don't need any more freezes. We're done with that season, right? It's time for spring. And I have some good news as we look beyond that 10-day forecast, March 5th through the 11th. We're going to be possibly feeling like it. Wes was mentioning 70s as we looked at that 10-day forecast, but even beyond the 10-day, we're tracking above average temperatures across the state of Alabama. Now, look at this model. It kind of shows you the warm air, and I'm seeing some very warm air, especially as we near some of our afternoons in the month of March. Here's March the 6th, a lot of red and orange, and it turns into deeper red and orange as we approach March the 8th. Look at the state of Alabama and really all across the south and east. We bring in closer to the middle portion of March. Here's March the 11th, still seeing some warm air and that southerly flow across central Alabama. I'm looking forward to that. But as far as rain chances go, beyond that 10-day forecast, I'm not seeing our next best chance for rain until about March the 10th. There could be a front moving through our area. We'll keep a close eye on it. That's just one model indicating that. But as far as our outlook goes, we are trending above average March 5th through the 11th as we take a look at that precipitation outlook. So what's it like to forecast a blizzard where you get more than 30 inches of snow? I'm sure you'd like to know, right? Former WBRC 6 News First Alert meteorologist Jill Gilardi just found out. She chatted with Matt Daniel earlier today about what it's like going through one of the worst snowstorms in the last decade.
Well, this past weekend, we saw an incredible nor'easter, a big blizzard, impact parts of the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. And I decided, why not invite Jill Gilardi? You may remember her. She's a meteorologist at WFSB in Hartford, Connecticut. How are you doing, Jill? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you, and hello to all my previous viewers. I miss you all.
What was it like to forecast and experience a big storm like this?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure you've looked at the models too leading up to it, and it still, wasn't a clear-cut deal until, just a couple days prior. It's like, oh my gosh, it's looking like this is going to be something potentially really big. And so, we had been forecasting at least, 10 to 20 inches with that jackpot, potentially well over that across the southeastern part of the state. And so conditions just quickly went downhill. Those snow bands quickly moved in. And with the snow bands came the wind as well. So, Sunday night, probably around 8:00, 8:30, I went to one of the hotels. It's like barely half a mile up the road. So we will stay at a hotel. We were going to get shuttled in the next morning. I parked my car there knowing it's probably going to be buried, but the next morning. But just heading there, it was quickly accumulating. The wind was picking up with those bands that were coming in, the snow bands. And yeah, I remember waking up in the middle of the night, just I couldn't sleep. It was just, that feeling of, oh my gosh, what is it going to look like when I look out my window? Because I was going to go in that morning, and yeah, the wind was whipping around. We had wind gusts here of over 55 miles per hour. I know it was a lot higher the Cape and the islands, but still, that was pretty significant. We did have some, power outages across the state. The southeastern part, 5 inches was the jackpot. Of course, we had already a winter storm 3 weeks prior. So it was where are we going to put all the snow? Going into work, I had to get shuttled. The wind was so wild. It's blowing snow all around. So it's whiteout conditions. You can't see anything. Everything is covered up. And yeah, it just kept snowing and snowing in some areas. It was just relentless where you had those record snowfall amounts. You probably heard about Rhode Island had 37.9 inches, more than the blizzard of 78.
Wow.
So we had record-breaking numbers. We actually have crews coming from Connecticut going over to Rhode Island. Even Massachusetts are going there to help get trucks to put the snow in to deliver it other places. Because you get these big cities, it's where do you put all the snow?
Help us imagine this, because obviously here in Alabama, we get 1 or 2 inches of snow. We're sometimes paralyzed, right?
Well, I remember.
You're talking about 2 to 3 feet of snow. You're talking about winds that are blowing so strong that you can't even see where you're going. How are y'all able to handle that?
Well, of course, there's plenty of funding that goes into this. So everyone has all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. And, when I purchased a car in the South, you don't always have a vehicle that has all-wheel drive. So, you know what I mean? That is a must when you're up here. Everyone has snow blowers. Everyone's prepared for it. Everyone has a ton of, salt melt, for the yard. And you have to go out in shifts to clear the snow because you're getting snowfall rates 1 to 2 to maybe 3 inches per hour. So you got to keep up with it. But they have, the funding for all the salt, for all the crews, the plows. They're constantly going around and they're used to it. Do people drive perfectly in it? No. Are there accidents all the time? 100%. But yeah, there's you have the equipment to kind of clear things and get around.
Well, Jill, I just want to thank you again so much for spending a little bit of time. I know you've been busy tracking rounds of snow. Just want to let you know this weekend here in Alabama, we're going to be sunny and 70. So if you would like to thaw out, you are more than welcome to come visit.
If I want to visit, okay, if I get too sick of it, yeah, I do want to visit sometime, no matter what the season, even if it is summer, sweaty summer. I miss you guys, and thanks for having me on. It's been a pleasure. We also do First Alert Weather Extra here as well, so maybe someday I'll be interviewing you. You never know.
Hey, you never know. Thank you again, Jill. Stay warm.
Sure thing. Bye, everyone.
All right, tonight at 7, catch WBRC 6 News now on the streaming app with host Jazz Williams. First Alert weather, live updates, and trending stories you need before the night's over. Don't miss what's happening right now. WBRC News now at 7. Search for WBRC in your TV's app store to download. And I tell you, that is a great app. You can see absolutely Alabama's. You can go back and see many episodes of Weather Extra there as well.
Anything that we stream.
Yeah, anything that we stream. And first off, I want to let you know this is not a current image. This is, you remember Melissa, the hurricane that moved into Jamaica. Yeah, today, Tania, the National Hurricane Center released some information. We've seen a lot of post-analysis as we do after tropical systems, and it's determined that Melissa, Cat 5, winds of 190 miles per hour at Tide Allen is the strongest hurricane in terms of wind. 892 millibar pressure, that is third lowest, tying the 1935 Labor Day hurricane, and that goes for the Atlantic Basin. Yeah. But that was a powerful system.
Absolute beast. And then it made landfall in Cuba like the next day.
Yeah, so listen, we got a while for hurricane season, but we're watching tomorrow, a First Alert weather day, some heavier rain, possible storms, and we'll have those updates at 9.